Hey guys, welcome back to Monster Matinee. Today we're diving into Terrifier 3, the latest installment in the series that's been polarizing horror fans and pushing the boundaries of slasher cinema. Let's get into it. So, 5 years after narrowly escaping Art the Clown's Halloween massacre, Sienna and Jonathan are still reeling from the trauma as they attempt to rebuild their lives. But with Christmas around the corner, and just when they start to feel safe, Art the Clown resurfaces with a twisted plan to transform their holiday cheer into a fresh nightmare. As the lights and decorations go up, Art sets out to prove that no holiday is safe from his brutal brand of horror. Terrifier, as a franchise, has been divisive and for good reason. The complaints about its lack of a point or its focus on its excessive gore are common, but honestly, that's the whole point. This is exploitation cinema at its finest, crafted for fans who appreciate that grindhouse grit, shock value, and a raw, unfiltered approach to horror. In each film, Damien Leone brings a little more polish to his throwback grindhouse style, and it's exciting to see him evolve as a filmmaker while sticking to the genre's unapologetic roots. And honestly, Terrifier 3 is Leone's most ambitious yet. One standout element here is the Christmas setting, which adds a unique visual spin to the horror. The Christmas lights and decorations gives a surreal, almost ironic beauty to the bloodshed, and there's something undeniably unsettling about watching Art weave his brutality through the holiday cheer. And in typical Terrifier fashion, the film injects some dark humor into these moments. Art reminds me a little of a Mr. Bean in clown makeup. He doesn't need a single word to be horrifying, or strangely enough, entertaining. David Howard Thornton brings the character to life with such expressive, almost mime-like movements that Art is terrifying without even speaking a word. You find yourself horrified and laughing in the same breath, especially when someone ends up with a chainsaw in, let's say, unorthodox place in between his butt cheeks. But it's not just laughs and kills. Terrifier 3 ups the ante with practical effects that are both impressive and sickeningly detailed. There's a shower scene in this one that's bound to get some buzz. It took something like 5 days to shoot, and it shows. Leone doesn't hold back, and whether or not you're a fan of the gore, you have to admire the artistry and the effects. Horror aficionados will appreciate the craft, while others might be covering their eyes. While I did enjoy Terrifier 3 more than the second film, I still found myself wondering about Art's backstory, or rather, the lack of it. This movie, like the others, hints at some deeper supernatural elements, but it doesn't fully flesh it out. The second one went a little bit too far with that supernatural stuff, especially with Sienna and her father. This one attempts to go a little bit further with the lore, adding more to the Victoria Hayes character. This lore is interesting to a point, but by the end of the film, Art almost seems like a bit of a sidekick to her. And with Terrifier 3 clocking in at a hefty 2 hours, some of the plot feels a little padded. Sometimes, especially with slashers, less is more, and here, less backstory actually makes Art a little more terrifying. However, if you're a fan of the franchise, this film brings the goods. Notably, it pulls no punches in crossing lines. Even kids aren't off limits here. One is involved in mostly off-screen kill in the opening, and more terror involving children unfolding in a mall scene. It's a risky move and definitely won't be for everyone. There's also a surprising decision to kill off a main character off-screen, which could be polarizing for fans who want a bit more of a resolution. And while Victoria Hayes' makeup and effects are impressive, she starts to overstay her welcome. We just want more of Art's nightmarish antics. So, for letter grade, Terrifier gets a solid C. It's a mixed bag, enjoyable for fans of grindhouse horror, and those curious to see what Leone and Thornton do next. Of course, they do leave the ending open, and Terrifier 4 was already announced. And while it still wrestles with a somewhat long runtime, and perhaps too much of a focus with these last two movies on the lore, Terrifier 3 remains more brutal, creative, and twisted than its predecessor, with even more kills, over 20, a lot of blood, and of course, plenty of Art the Clown. Oh, and of course, Lauren Lavera shines again as our final girl, Sienna, grounding the film with a strong lead performance. For horror fans, it's worth the watch, especially if you're here for Art and the gore rather than the lore. Alright guys, for further viewing, if Terrifier is your jam, I recommend the movie Hatchet from 2006. It combines dark humor, relentless gore, and a killer who feels almost as unstoppable as Art. Or, for something even more unsettling, The Devil's Rejects by Rob Zombie offers that gritty, brutal atmosphere and follows a sadistic family you won't forget. Both films have that grindhouse, hard-to-watch quality that Terrifier fans will appreciate. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Just a quick review. Subscribe for more content and see you in the next one.